Hi, everyone. Welcome back to No Sick Days. I'm Dana Lewison, therapist and founder of the Empowerment Collective.
And I'm Roshni Patel. I'm a board certified OBGYN and the founder of Luminate Gynecology. And, today we've got a great episode. I've been really looking forward to this.
Same, so much. Our guest today is Chamin Ajjan. She is a psychotherapist, a mindfulness teacher, and an AASECT sex therapist, which is a credential that is not that common and actually quite difficult to obtain.
Yeah. And if that's not enough, she has also published a book titled Seeking Soulmate, which she wrote while she was pregnant, which is amazing. Amazing.
I can't. I don't know. I couldn't form like complete sentences when I was pregnant with mommy brain. So quite impressed.
Hmm.
So many women that are listening and that I see, they're doing the thing that looks good on paper. They've got the job, they have the kids, the marriage, and underneath all of it, something is off. They're depleted, they're anxious, they're going through all the motions, but they don't know quite what to call it.
Yeah, totally. I think also I see patients similar like to this in my practice, and they come in with complaints of, like brain fog, or they can't think straight, or they're not sleeping properly, or feeling like they have a restful sleep, libido that's gone somewhere that they can't find. And we talk about the body and the physicality of things, which is definitely my lane, but so much about what we're talking about really deals with the mind and relationships. And relationships change as we navigate different seasons of life. So having Shamin speak to us about these topics is really, really important and timely.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Shamin,
Hmm.
welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I felt like you were talking about me as you were describing these women that you see.
I'm like, well, we are talking about you with these
Yeah.
amazing credentials.
Yep. And it's great to have guests that reflect our audience and vice versa. And like we are the people that we take care of. And we'll, spotlight you right away. So you have this wonderful, amazing, interesting career that kind of ties in together a few disciplines like, mindfulness, cognitive behavioral therapy, sex therapy, just to name a few. And not all of us kind of think that they have as much overlap as they do, but they really do, right? You've woven them together
Yes.
into this amazing practice. Can you tell us like how you melded them or wove them together over time?
Yes, I would love to. Actually, it's an interesting story. I had a supervisor, and this is a going to be a supervisor heavy kind of explanation,
Mhm.
but it really doesn't matter having great supervisors and even not great supervisors in your life. They shape who you become as a professional. And so I would say my cognitive behavioral therapy journey began in my second year placement in graduate school. I had a really tough lady as the director of the program that I worked for. And she would call me into her office and I would be shaking in my boots and ask me questions and I would go blank. And at one point she said to me, "That sounds like cognitive behavioral therapy. That's what you do." And I said to myself, I'm going to learn everything about cognitive behavioral therapy so I can talk to this woman about it. And it really was what made sense to me. CBT is all about understanding the connection between your thoughts and your emotions and your behaviors and how they're all interconnected. So that really did speak to me from a very early part of my career. And then I had another supervisor early on tell me, "You get the clients you need," which I used to hate at the
Mm.
time. I'm having a really tough time with this client. She would say, "You get the clients you need." And it would be very frustrating, but I learned so much from those really tough clients. And at the beginning of my career, I worked for a labor union. I had a really small private practice on the side, 10 clients, because I knew I wanted to be a mom and have my own schedule eventually. 10 of them I saw on the side, 6 of them were women, half of them were survivors of childhood sexual abuse. And it was really, really challenging to be able to find the resources for this population, either really far away or in hospital settings or for low income folks. And so I ended up creating a group myself that still runs today. It's 20 years strong, named after the woman who inspired me to create it, Melissa's group. And in my pursuit to be able to support these women around their sexual trauma. I wanted to be able to feel confident and competent in my ability to be able to support them around the sexuality piece.
Mhm.
And so that's when I began my sex therapy journey and then became an AASECT-certified sex therapist. And really, that's been one of the best decisions I ever made. It's made my practice a lot more exciting, a lot more fun. I get to do really, really impactful work and really, really fun and exciting work. And oftentimes you get to see progress really quick. And then the mindfulness piece, I had a supervisor early on who was just a mindfulness junkie. And I used to think to myself, this is a bunch of hooey. Like, what are you talking about? And eventually, I would say maybe 5, 10 years later, she wasn't my supervisor anymore. And I started to get it. It started to make sense. I started to see how I needed to slow down. I started to understand that I was multitasking and I was not doing anything well. I was getting stuff done, but I wasn't doing anything particularly well, that my mind was always going, that I was in always like a high arousal
Mhm.
state. And so it was my own journey through mindful practice that made me understand how useful it could be for my clients. And so, yes, those three things married together, especially when it comes to sex therapy, I think, when you think about sex, it is one of the most mindful experiences you can have, one of the most sensory
Mhm.
experiences that you can have. If you think of all five senses, right? You
Yeah.
can taste when you're having
Mhm.
sex. You can smell, you can see, you can hear, and there's so many sensations, so many feelings and textures and pressure and all this going on. So it really does support so much of the work that I do with sex therapy.
I have
Wow.
never heard it makes sense what you're saying, but I've never heard it described like the act of sex as being like the ultimate mindfulness.
Right.
I'm gonna borrow that one. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Try it.
Yeah. Maybe.
Right. Clutch my pearls. No, just
Yeah.
kidding. No, I love this. I
Yeah.
love it.
That's so beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
it's
It
great.
really is when you approach sex in that way and it's not about this goal, right?
Mhm.
This end goal, this ultimate pleasure. You create such a more enriching experience. Pleasure becomes something much greater. And it becomes much more enjoyable, the entire ride, as opposed to being goal focused.
Mhm.
So I'm going to ask you, well, we are going to ask you questions because I know our listeners right now are going, talk more about that. So I am going to come back to the sex piece because we definitely are going to want tips from you. But to go back to this mindfulness piece for a moment, one of the things that I love about your socials, and for people who aren't following your Instagram account or following you on social media, they should, and we're going to link them below. But one of the things that I absolutely love approach to, I mean, look, you have amazing certifications. You have worked really hard for all of them. You have all this amazing training. And so clearly that is what separates, yourself from people who are just getting quick coaching certifications on the side and trying to be influencers or, the quick fix.
Mhm.
And so I'm curious then, because when we often think of mindfulness and we're thinking of like that quick, self care, quick meditation piece, a lot of it is guided by what we're seeing through social media. It's not the real, actual mindfulness, what people who are trained in this area and licensed can actually do and can actually share. So I'm curious for you, what does that look like in your actual life, right? Not the Instagram version, but the real one on a, Tuesday at 3 p.m. What is that like for you?
Yeah, a Tuesday at 3 p.m. very specifically is a mindful moment for me. I usually don't see clients after 3 p.m., but Tuesday is the exception
Wow.
Mhm.
of the week. My son gets off the bus at 3. I want to be with him afterwards. But on Tuesdays, I see clients in the evening. So so I start at 3:15. I see him off the bus. I tell him, don't come into my office unless it's an emergency. He inevitably comes in.
Right. Always. Always.
And always. And then I see my clients, but from 3 to 3:15, I'm sitting there because it's hard to split myself in that way. It's so much easier when kids are at school, the husband is away, and I'm in my home office. But when my son is home, I'm split. And so I have to take that time to be present, to remind myself why. Why am I doing this? And so my mindful moment Tuesday at 3 p.m. is to sit and to remind myself that this is a privilege, that I get to be here. I get to work from home. I get to see my clients in the afternoon on a Tuesday, and that I want to be here, even if I'm feeling a little bit pulled in another direction. It's about me paying attention to what's coming up for me in the moment so that I'm not bringing that into my session. And it's me asking myself, what do I need right now? So for me, mindfulness is not about levitating and reaching a higher state of being.
Yeah.
It's not performative. It really is John Kabat-Zinn's definition of being, and I'm going to say it wrong, but being present in the here and now, non-judgmentally and on purpose. If I'm doing those three things, then I'm being mindful. And it can look different for everybody. So that's my Tuesday at 3, my very specific Tuesday at 3 practice. But throughout the day, I'm a busy mom. I'm a group practice owner. I teach CBT at Boston University. I write for Soma Living. I'm on several boards. I'm the president of the Columbia High School Music Parents Association. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I've got all these things going on, and it feels like I have very little time. But what I know and what the research shows me is that even 1 minute of mindful practice can get you all those yummy benefits of improved mood, of more focus, of more concentration, all of these wonderful things, so many more that you can get from a mindful practice. And so it's washing my hands mindfully, taking a moment instead of thinking about my grocery list or what
Hmm.
I have coming up, but being mindful in that moment, paying attention to what that feels like, or having a cup of tea mindfully. Or if I'm really lucky and I have 5-10 minutes, I can sit doing a guided meditation, or my ultimate mindful activity is gardening. I am a plant
Mm.
mama. I have my garden here in at my house front and backyard. So for me, getting my hands in the dirt, watching something that I started from a seed grow into a plant, getting the bugs off and pruning things, that for me is the ultimate mindful activity.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that with us. I think it's so important for people to understand what that, real mindfulness looks like. And it sounds like it's something that can just be private. It's just yours. It's something that you get to do. As you said, it's not performative, and it can be there's so many different ways to be mindful. And you just described some beautiful examples that I hope people can try and see what works for them as well.
Yeah, I mean, I really do believe that fit it in where you can get it in, and it'll make a difference.
Yeah. I like that. I just to piggyback off of what Dana's saying, I think a lot of times, whether it's social media, regular media, whatever, we're kind of sold this image of consumption and, like you said, performative mindfulness. Like I need all the apps to do all the meditation. But while you're meditating, if you're zoned out or thinking about what you're gonna make for dinner, it kind of defeats the purpose, right?
Yes.
So I'm learning a lot already. I am
Which
going
happens
to
to me all the time also, right? So you
yeah.
you sit there and you zone out, and all of a sudden you realize, "Oh my goodness, 10 minutes have gone by.
Yeah.
I only have 30 more seconds." But even if that happens, that one time you notice that you zoned out and then you bring yourself back to the present moment, that makes it worth it.
Makes it yeah,
That's that
absolutely.
muscle that you're strengthening.
Yeah. And so much of this is, connecting with yourself again, right? Like that check-in piece. Like what's going on for me? Where am I? What's coming up for me? And a
Mhm.
lot of our listeners and the women that we get to take care of will superficially or externally describe themselves as fine, right? Like they've got the things, they've got the high performing job or high functioning lifestyle. They're holding it all together. They're doing all the things, right? These are people we know and see in our lives. But
They are.
underneath, yeah, underneath, I don't know if they all have the chance or the moment to ask internally, like, what's going on? Is there anxiety? Is there some depletion? Piece? Is there a relationship or a marriage that's kind of, you're just going through the motions and it's not really, vigorous and alive in the way that it might have been? Just in your experience of working with clients through the years, like, what do you think is going on when we don't have that internal kind of check-in piece?
You know, it can be a bunch of things that
Yeah.
come to mind. The first thing that I think about it are the completely unrealistic expectations that women today have of themselves that are based on, centuries of us being socialized to be fine,
Mhm.
to be perfect, right? We're unbothered. We make it look good. We've got it all together. We're not really allowed to complain about it. But things have changed, right? We have these old, like Victorian era ideas about what it means to show up as a woman. But in the past 50 years, we have entered the workforce more regularly. We're doing a shift at work, a lot of us, a shift at home, a shift taking care of parents. A lot of us are in this sandwich
Mhm.
generation. And back in the day, we used to have a village to be able to support us. We had a bunch of different resources available to us. And now the expectation is that we do it all. We're told we can have it all
Mm.
and we're expected to do it all. But we weren't told that we weren't going to have the resources to be able to support us doing all of this stuff. And it wasn't really modeled for us either because generations and generations before us have been doing the same thing. So I think that's one thing. And it really needs to be named. And we have to come up with a solution because we're burning out
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
record rates. The second one is, I think, the elephant in the room for most of us women of a certain age, perimenopause, right?
Yep.
Perimenopause is here, and a
Yep.
lot of us don't even know that it's here. We're all of a sudden having brain fog. We have no more tolerance for
Mhm.
yes anymore. We have gained 12 pounds even though we haven't done anything different. And all of a sudden, our shoulder's not moving and we're in pain. We've got all of these crazy symptoms and we're just dealing with them
Yep.
because we have
Yes.
not been told that there's anything that we can do about it. And that places a heavy burden on all of us. Thank goodness we're in this new era, though, where we have much more information
Mhm.
about it. I feel really blessed that, I have more language and more awareness and more there's more conversation
Yeah.
happening around it. So I think that's a big part of it as well. And then the last thing that comes to mind is when you are at this stage of life, when you are married, when you do have kids, if you do have a career and you've got all these other things going on, you are wearing so many hats and there's so much doing happening that there's a loss of identity that
Mm.
comes along with it. We somehow lose ourselves. We forget who we are. We forget what we want, what we need. And we're so used to, I'm fine, everything's fine, that we're not taking the time to check in with ourselves. We're not taking the time to recognize what's missing. What are those things that we used to love to do that we're no longer doing or no longer making time for? Who was this person before
Mm.
she was before she had taken on so many different
Yeah.
roles? So those are the 3 things that come to mind, but there are so many
So
more.
many, yeah. But that's a fantastic summary. Thank you. And I think that touches like on just every little snippet of life. I like the have it all piece. I was actually side note talking to my husband the other day about this. And I'm like, you don't want to have it all. I have it all. Just to like, yeah,
It's like, wait, hold on.
yeah,
I want to stay home with my children
yeah,
and go to work every day and da 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 da, start a business of my own. I mean, we are three women who are owning our own practices,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Who
We
wants to be
manage
doing
that. We manage our homes.
Ubering children around?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
Mom's taxi. That's what I
right.
call
with
it.
the
Marcia,
endless
that is
list in
such
our
a good
mind.
point.
Yeah.
And we just like, we literally had this conversation like a night or two ago. So yeah, I just wanted
So
to
it's fresh.
throw that in there.
But yeah,
But
this idea
yeah,
that women are always fine,
yeah, we're not
right?
fine.
And we're
We
No,
not
we're
haven't
not.
been
fine.
fine either.
No, we're
Yeah.
not fine. I had a client literally this week who was talking about this story. I mean, she came to me because she was getting over a medical trauma of having been in a PICU and like basically in a coma, like dying.
Gosh.
And it all started because she went to urgent care and they were like, no, you're fine. You're just pregnant. Like, these are just pregnancy symptoms. And then it turned out she had an infection and, like, I mean, she almost died. But
Yeah.
after the urgent care that she'd gone to twice, she was like, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I can't complain. I'm fine. And finally was like, okay, I think something's wrong. I need to go to the emergency room. And from there, it was like, quick, quick, quick. Oh my God, we need to get you X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And it was terrible. But all because of this idea that women can't complain and that we are supposed to be fine.
Yeah. And that if we aren't fine, we're being dramatic.
Right. It's yeah. Yeah, the
Whining.
language or like the I don't know what you wanna call it, but if you don't fit into that mold or if you don't just kinda go along with everything and you're an outlier, you're a problem. Like, it you know?
Yeah. You're a bitch. You're
Mhm.
whiny. You're a nag. Right.
Yeah.
So
So
what do you
we're not fine.
Oh, sorry. No, we're not fine. We're not fine. We're getting loud. We're starting podcasts.
Yep.
That's right. Let's all
We're
say it. We're not fine.
We're
we're
not
not
fine.
fine, right? Screaming into the abyss. Given that all of this that you're describing, so I'm assuming a lot of these women in midlife are coming to you. But what do you find are the biggest topics or the biggest issues that you are hearing in your practice right now, given your range of credentials and issues that people are coming to see you for?
Yeah. So, because I do work with trauma survivors, I do get a lot of women who are coming to me, especially at this like 40s stage, late 30s, 40s stage, who have been kind of white knuckling it since childhood,
Yep.
who have been using the same coping skills that they developed in childhood to be able to survive the environment that they were in, and using that hypervigilance, that perfectionism, the people pleasing, all of these things that developed at that time, and they're no longer working. They're no longer serving them, and they think they're going crazy. They think they're failing. So I get a lot of women who are there and need to understand how to move forward, and that starts with dealing with this unresolved trauma that they have in their lives. And then again, perimenopause, right? the, these symptoms that we experience are a lot of them are mood disorder related, right? Perimenopause can trigger onset of ADHD, anxiety for a lot of us, depression for a lot of us. About 15 years ago, I had a client before we were talking about it this way who had depression out of nowhere, was totally fine, sex drive gone, couldn't understand why she was feeling the way she was feeling. We sent her all kinds of places. We were trying to rule out all kinds of stuff. And finally, she had someone tell her that she was, they called it early menopause back
Mm.
then, 'cause we weren't calling it perimenopause back then. But this was mind blowing to me. This is the first time I had heard of it. Now we're able to recognize it and diagnose it and help women to understand that they're normal.
Thank God,
It's yeah. Yes,
right?
thank God. And thank God for me too, because I know that the anxiety, the sleepless nights, I
The
know what
sweating.
that is.
Yeah, rage, itchy ears, all of it.
All of it. For me, the biggest one where I was like, okay, something is not right was the frozen shoulder. I got frozen shoulder syndrome. It was so painful, and I had been gaslit about the perimenopause symptoms before then, and that was finally, this is it. It's we're in the middle of perimenopause.
It's
Um,
ridiculous.
So that one, and then I get a lot of couples that come to me. Sometimes it's the women, sometimes it's the men, uh,
Mhm.
but who are initiating treatment. But I would say at this stage in our lives, many couples are in the toughest developmental stage of their relationship because they have the stress of young children. We love our children, right? They're bundles of
But they're
joy.
hard.
They're wonderful, but all of our energy,
Mhm.
all of our time, all of our resources are invested into taking care of these little bundles of joy, and all of the energy that we were directing into our relationships is no longer going there. And so we end up in a sex desert, right? We end up disconnected from our partners. We end up maybe resenting them a
Mhm.
little bit because the tasks are not divided up equitably, and equitably, not equal, right?
Mhm.
I think when in a heterosexual relationship, I think the statistic is when the male partner does a quarter of the tasks, things feel more equitable. Not even half, not close to half, a quarter. So I think is one of the biggest issues that my couples are coming to me for. And then in that, understanding that stress can either be an accelerator, it can either turn you on, or it can be the brakes and
Mhm.
it can turn you completely off. Usually, I don't like to get binary with things, but usually that ends up being the woman who stress is, it's like, don't touch me, put that thing
Yeah.
away.
Mhm.
I'm interested. And then the male partner tends to lean into sex for relaxation, for release, for coping. And so understanding that can be really eye-opening for partners as well.
Yeah. No, I was actually going to say at first, I'm like, who gets stressed and is like, let's do it more. So thank
Man,
you.
that's
Thank
who.
you for the clarification there. Cause I'm like,
Yes.
wow, we could sprinkle and sell that.
Right?
Jeez.
But you think about that, right? One is like, don't touch me.
Right.
And the other one's like, yeah, baby,
Right.
let's get it on.
Yeah.
That's going to cause
Yeah.
problems.
Oh,
Right,
that's a
that
clash.
that mismatch in itself, and, like, if there is not great communication, right, you're both depleted, end of the day, I'll sometimes tell patients, like, "Well, we save sex or intimacy for the end of the day. You've had your work day, the dinner, the kids, the bedtime, the sports, and then? No, 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 no.
Yeah.
I'm taking a hot shower and I'm watching my romance TV in
Tapped
bed."
out.
Yeah, like,
Exactly.
and
Tapped
and
out.
romance in the sense, like, it's on the screen, it's not happening in my bed, like,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of patients, I'm so grateful when they actually start having those conversations about whether it's mindfulness or intimacy or connecting with their partner. But there's still a little bit of a hill to climb, I think, in terms of at least what I've seen, in terms of getting them to talk about it with someone like you. Like how can we start, maybe, I don't know if it's like demystifying it or destigmatizing it. I'm going a little bit off script, data. But
No, that's a good
You see
on.
me scrolling. I'm like,
yeah, I was
where's
just
this
inspired.
question that
I
we're
was
going to ask?
inspired because we know, like, we're doing all the things, we're juggling all the things, but our relationships are important for
They
us.
are.
And when they're suffering, how do we get the support we need? Where do we start? If a woman has 5 minutes, 10 minutes to just, and she's decided I want to prioritize my relationship. Okay, then what? Like, how do we help the women?
Yeah. And
Great
social media
question.
doesn't help us because
Yeah.
accounts like mine get shut down and then I have to start all over again for just saying the word sex. So, and which,
Which makes
what does
no
that
I
do? It
know. Meanwhile,
stigmatizes
there's like all this
more.
garbage out there.
Yeah. And then that's the stuff that gets kept up. So
Yeah.
right. The
yes,
porn, basically,
I,
of Instagram.
yes, yes. So I would say first thing is to talk to your
Mhm.
just start the conversation, right? It doesn't have to be researched. You don't have to have the right words, but you can start the conversation just by saying to your partner, I notice that we're doing this thing less,
Hmm.
spending time together, holding hands, talking, whatever it is, because intimacy is not just sex.
Right.
Intimacy is connecting in all kinds of different ways. It's about trust. It's about safety. It's about feeling open and vulnerable with your partner. So addressing any of those things can lead to, or talking, sharing that you feel like any of that is missing can lead to an important conversation with your partner. And then if your partner is open to having those conversations, then there are books that you guys can look at together. I think Esther Perel has, really wonderful books, Mating in Captivity being, I think one of the most popular books on relationships there is. Come as You Are,
Yep. That's the one. Yeah.
Emily Nagoski, is that
Yeah.
there? Can be a great book to read with your partner and conversation starter. And, men are going to learn a lot from that book that they didn't know before. So books can be a great one. I think couples therapy, the television show Couples Therapy, watching that with your
Mm,
partner can open up conversations. There are card decks that you can get that can open up fun conversation starters. And you can also say, are you interested in couples therapy? Would you
right.
be interested in talking to somebody who can support us in creating a new way of having our relationship at this stage in our lives. And that's what I think is the most amazing thing that I do is I get to help co-create with a couple something new that incorporates who they are today, what their needs are today, and they get to develop something brand new and exciting that keeps both of them in mind. And let's face it, when we're young, we don't really know what we want. And a lot of what we're doing in relationships is performative. We're not always saying what we want and what we don't want. We haven't even really discovered
Yep.
what we like yet. And so that wears off eventually. And it's always a great idea to talk to your partner about, I saw this on this television show.
Yeah.
Have
What
you
do
ever
you
thought
think?
about doing that?
Oh, that's so good. And
Great.
that's just nice. It's just like open up and have that conversation, icebreaker kind of style. Thank you. This is very nice. I'm gonna tell all my ladies to come talk to you.
Well,
Yeah.
absolutely. I agree. And same that, one of the things we always talk about, Roshi and I, and with different guests, is building our team and also
Hmm.
knowing what your lane is. And I certainly am not a sex therapist and being able to refer out. And so, yes, Roshi, you're saying you'll refer me as well.
Hmm.
Because when I have clients who talk about intimacy, and yes, we can talk about it, but there is a point where we're only going so far in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
conversation. And I can have the conversation on communication and such, but there's certainly a piece that they're going to get from you with the mindfulness, et cetera, that I don't have that training in.
Yeah.
So I think it's wonderful. I know you work in Brooklyn. I know you have or license in New York. Are you also licensed in New Jersey as well?
I'm licensed in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and then I have a telehealth license for Florida and South
Yeah,
Carolina.
that's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Do you
But I
hear that,
actually am
everyone?
all remote.
yeah.
I do have an office in
Yeah.
Brooklyn, but my
Right.
staff go in there. But honestly,
You're virtual.
I'm virtual and
Yeah, me too.
90%
Yeah.
of all of us are seeing our clients virtually because people just didn't want
Yeah.
to come back in person. Some
Yeah.
did, but it's just too convenient.
Yeah,
I
it's
think it's
great.
helpful. I think it's easy. Less of a it's less friction in the schedule. Like, I
Yeah.
mean,
Less of a
that's my
schlep.
yeah.
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 It's easier same thing ever since COVID. I'm virtual, never went back.
Yeah, and people who would never have gone to therapy before because of these limitations, because they have a crazy schedule, because they have kids, because
Mhm.
they couldn't afford to take an hour out for therapy and then 45 minutes to get there and back,
Yep.
Right.
they're now able to access therapy. And yes, of course, there are things that might be better in person, but I say if you can't do it in person, do it virtually.
Yeah.
That's better
Yeah,
than not doing it at all.
Agree.
absolutely. Absolutely. I work with a lot of new moms as well. And just the thought of the baby and diapers and all remember all the stuff,
Yeah.
the
All the you need
accoutrement,
like a whole
Yes.
right? Just that takes an hour just to pack it all
get in the
together.
car. Yeah.
Right. So to be able to be there and have baby fussing and the dog barking, and I don't care. I'm like, I'm disappointed because I don't get to hold the babies anymore. But, so virtual is great. So this is so helpful. Thank you. Going back to talking about, yes, when you see couples, you can advise them when you're working with an individual, how that person can start talking to their partner to get the conversations going. What is advice that you would give directly to that midlife woman? She's in perimenopause. She's got the frozen shoulder, the itchy ears, the rage, the low libido. If you could talk directly to her partner, and maybe listeners, this is where you pause, you go get your partner, bring them in and make them listen because we have an expert here. What is some advice that you would tell their partner directly?
Well, first of all, I would say give her a break. Okay. You have no
Hmm.
idea what she is dealing with.
Right.
I got your back. I got your back. I would tell them to spend a little time doing some research also so they can understand all of the different ways that their partner is changing,
Hmm.
all of the different things that they're dealing with, all of the different ways that perimenopause presents itself because partners tend to personalize. the way their partner is interacting with them. And if you can understand, if you have another lens to look at it through, then you can get a little distance. And it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be, she's doing this because I'm wrong, because I'm bad, because there's something fundamentally broken about. So I think that's another really important piece of it as well. And then have conversations with your partner. So here we go again. But I really do think communication is the most important piece in any relationship. And a lot of times we think we know. We we assume we know what our partners are thinking. We assume we know what's going on with them. But if you take a little bit of time to just say, hey, I noticed that you've been a little bit more anxious lately. What's going on? Is everything okay?
Mm.
And you do it in a compassionate and supportive way, then that gives your partner space to open up, to be vulnerable, and for you to get a little bit more understanding about what's happening and how you can support them. And it opens up a conversation for you as well about what it's been like for you and how your partner can support you as well. Believe me, we know. We know it can be tough. We know that it's, hard for you as well. And we want to be able to support you as
Great.
Listen and communicate.
listen and communicate.
Listen and communicate. I know it's like it's the simple stuff, but
It's
it's
simple, but it's
it's
not
hard
easy.
to do. Yeah, simple but
It's
not
not
easy. Yep.
easy
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
vulnerable. And this
you
idea,
have to be vulnerable. You have
Yeah.
to
I think
you
on
have
both
to
sides, right? Like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and
leading
that's
with
hard.
compassion, right? That idea
Yeah.
of if you go with compassion, it almost is like, I don't know, the antidote to anxiety and anger and frustration.
And
And
like resentment or
yeah,
what's the word I'm
Yeah,
looking
why are
for?
you being such a bitch is
Yeah.
much different than,
Defensiveness. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
noticed that you're
yes,
struggling. You seem to be struggling.
Yeah.
right. You've been really, really irritating and
Yeah.
angry, and I don't like you.
You're yelling at me again.
Right. Right.
That's
And
not
which I know
boldly
is really
friend.
hard for all of us
Yeah.
during our
Rage fest
perimenopause,
moments.
raging. Yes. Right. Like I'm working with a lot right now. I'm going
Yeah.
to need you to get your shit together because right now I can't.
Yeah.
So,
And like separate from perimenopause, like in a heterosexual couple, the experience of being a woman is different than the experience of being a man.
Yes.
Like, and this, if we go in the professional lens, like there's a motherhood penalty and a fatherhood reward. Like it's just all these inequities kind of get all amplified as we are navigating our 40s, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, there is no dad guilt, right? There's mom
Oh
guilt,
yeah, doesn't exist. There's no word for it.
but there's no dad guilt. And listen, we're talking about perimenopause a lot here, but are women in their 20s who are in relationships, who have children, they're still struggling too. And
Yeah.
so just imagine how tough it is when you add all of this
Layers.
additional
Yeah.
burden to it.
yes, exactly. And the job gets more intense or that sandwich generation piece,
Mhm.
children growing up having issues. I feel for my friends who are going through it and they have daughters who are also going through puberty.
Mm,
That, like,
yeah.
whoa, that's a
Mhm.
lot of
It's a lot.
hormones happening at once.
Yes. Yes. I have a high school senior. So
Yeah,
I'm dealing with
it's a
hormones.
lot.
I'm dealing with, my gosh, she's going away to college
Yeah.
and
Huge
that
life
whole
Man.
transitions.
thing. I'm dealing with how the heck paying for this. I mean, there's
So
so
you're
many
in
layers.
it.
Yeah.
You're in it.
And then I have my 9-year-old son. So I've got like both ends of the spectrum right
Yeah.
now.
Right.
It's a
And the
lot.
9-year-old by the 11-year-old boy. But right, those like what did they say? The hormones, which I didn't even know were a thing until you experience them, and you're like, whoa,
Yeah.
that's a roller coaster. It's all hard. Every age is
It's
all
all
hard.
hard.
Yeah,
Every
difficult.
stage of it.
Yeah, it really
Again,
is.
why we need to build our team so we have the support when we need to call on it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we have, I guess, our last question for you,
Yeah.
which we ask everyone who joins us, is what does your no sick day look like? What is a no sick day that you've taken recently or a moment that you've protected for yourself? Well, we talked about your 15 minutes, which is
Mhm.
beautiful and amazing, and we're all going to model it now. But do you have other no sick days advice?
I try to, like I said, get it in where I can fit it in. I would love to say I have a routine in place. It's something that I actually would love to establish, but I also know that life gets in the way of that. But in thinking about this, because I know this is what you guys do, I thought back to last month was my 49th birthday. So I'm on the road
Happy
to 50.
birthday.
And I had a girlfriend invite me to go to Governor's Island for a spa day. And spa days are my love language. So I was very excited. And the day before, she was like, I'm so sorry. I need to cancel. I had a work thing that I have to attend, which, I was like, okay, I get it. And then my impulse was to go put everybody back on the schedule to all day long to, do all the stuff that I was going to do before I had cleared my schedule. And instead I said, you know what? No, I am going to garden all day. I'm going
Awesome.
to order Thai food for lunch.
Oh,
I'm going to watch a little Bravo in the middle of the day.
I love it.
And
perfect
that's
day.
me such a gift. It's a
Mm,
rare experience.
you've inspired
And
me.
I'm like, you're speaking my language.
And it
Ooh.
was such a beautiful day. So that is what came to mind when thinking about my no sick day.
I love it. We
As
got
we're
it.
all
We
just
got it.
pausing and dreaming. Like housewives and gardening and Thai food. Oh my.
Mm,
We need it all.
we do.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us, for being on, for sharing all of
Yes.
your
Thank you.
amazing advice. And for our listeners, as I said, we're going to link all of your socials and information and ways people can contact you. If they have more questions or want to meet with you, set up an appointment, all of that will be linked below.
You guys, thank you so
Yes.
much for having me.
You're so welcome. We're so grateful for your expertise and, building our little network of support. We love it.
We are building our own village. So, all right. Speaking of no sick days, I know
Hmm.
we all got to get back to
Get
it,
back
back
to
to
it.
the grind, back to
Hmm.
work. Because when you're doing it all,
There are no sick days.
thanks for listening, everyone. No sick days is for information and education only. It is not medical or mental health treatment. Listening to this podcast does not create a medical or therapeutic relationship. Please talk to a qualified professional for care that is right for you.